I do like the fact that Goldrin doesn't feel like a douchebag evil guy anymore. He does feel like, oh, he's blaming it. As I'm giving him credit, yo, he's pinned all the blame on Crescent. Yo! So, after this week's episode of Brilliant Healer, it ain't looking good. Everyone and their mother has been suspicious of one of the two professors, right? Either Becker or Goldrin were gonna screw us over. They've already hinted as such that there's some shady things going on in this area of the world. But really, the one who seemed the most suspicious at face value was this, so-called Goldrin, who, does some pretty talented healing stuff, but his magic kind of felt like blood magic. And honestly, the idea of a guy who probably would do anything to get power and to hold on to power usually is the one who would probably get into the worst things. The thing is even if you remove the VA of Roswell from ReZero on Dr. Becker, he always was suspicious too. And I think after this episode, they kind of confirm we can't trust either. One of them is doing real bad shit, and I think it's Becker. The other is just someone who will do anything in order to hold on power. Literally, this whole episode had me think, okay, while he's not necessarily a great guy at face value, he does seem like he genuinely cares, like he's worried, like the idea that all these nobility put so much trust in his talent, right? That he can't disappoint them. One, he needs their support in order to get this head position, but also he can recognize that because no one is Xenos, right? Like Xenos is a god among men. So he is limited to what seems to be what can and can't be done. So there's this scar on this girl's face, and essentially if it's left unchecked, it's not going to harm her physically, but it will cause this like old woman face to happen, and it will be irreparable, right? So a girl who cares about her appearance and, nobility and all that stuff, it's understandable why she's kind of got a bratty attitude, because she's scared to go under the knife. Cutting into your face, that's just going to make a nasty scar, and no one's really seen Xenos level healing before, right? So it makes sense. Yeah, she's annoying about it, but I mean, her fear makes sense. The idea that he has to do something that he believes can't be done. So the idea that he brings in Crescent and our boy, as I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, he seems genuinely like, okay, Crescent seemingly healed his dog, so therefore, this kid can do it. I don't think I can do it, but this kid can do it. And as I'm like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he was able to, he just is like, how dare you do that? And I'm like, my boy, you told him to do that. But he knew what he was doing, because he realized, like, you have to finish the job, because otherwise the growth will come back. But by finishing the job, her facial features will be changed for life, and we can't do anything about it. So the idea of blaming it on Crescent, it's a dick move, but in order to secure his spot and not tamper his reputation, that's what he had to do. Lucky for him, our boy was there and he could immediately do his Jesus maneuver surgery and, fix it. But the idea that we're dealing with someone who will screw you over at a moment's notice in order to save his own skin, it's not great. It's not someone we want to associate with. But here's the thing, with everything they're hinting at in this world with disappearances and this, that, and the third, he's not responsible for it. After this episode, I'm 100% confident that he is just someone who will stab you in the back to protect his own skin, but he's not going out of his way to make bad shit happen initially. Like, he seemed genuinely concerned for her and just wanted to help her. Like, that does seem, what was going on. Which leaves us to Becker. I forget the exact line the girl says, but it's something along the lines of, like, the more you can, like, experiment and test things on, the better your medication and whatnot can become. It very much feels to me like he is purposely taking people and creating diseases in order to cure them, which in return probably does save people, but it could also be a situation where he's inventing things that never would have existed anyway to cure it to get rewarded. I assume they're probably going to go the route that he's, pushing the morality of things and hurting, it's the needs of the many versus the needs of the few. If you have to experiment on 100 innocent people to save 10,000 lives, I'll go that direction. At some point, his eyes are going to open up and we're going to have the death glare. But it's worse than we thought, because everyone's been debating which one of these two is going to screw us over the most and who's going to actually end up being number one ally. And it turns out they're both going to screw us over. At least I assume. I mean, I think there's less than a 1% likelihood that Becker is, like, gonna be okay long term. Welcome to be proven wrong, but as it stands, I don't really trust it. If they go the route that he doesn't screw us over, and all we really have to deal with is a guy who will do whatever it takes to get power, not as bad as they're making it feel, but I'm skeptic, to say the least. But enjoyable episode, very different. There definitely was a lot of inconsistencies with the production this week. The first couple minutes, I thought we were outsourcing the episode. Like, our boy's face, Goldrun's face, it looked, okay, sometimes when you jump between season 1 and season 2, you know, sometimes there's a studio shift or it's been enough time, the art feels different. That's what it felt like, but not in a good way. It almost looked like I was looking at a different character in a different art style. And there was a lot of moments where his old wrinkly face was either more blocky, elongated, it just didn't have a consistency. Like, in general, it looked mostly like what this show is, but I definitely felt like this was the most inconsistent episode out of the batch. But the surgery stuff was very fun. I actually really liked how our boy got her to accept the surgery. So we start with, I can do it, I'm talented, I'm a playboy, marry me, and then it was, if you don't want it, I don't care. And it's honestly, his logic made sense. It's like, hey, this isn't gonna kill you. I can understand you don't want to, but just know this is what's gonna happen. But if you don't want to do it, I ain't gonna force you. And then it became this like, here's this bird I found. It's never gonna fly again. It didn't glow or anything. He just immediately was like, the bird's flying again. Do you want to fly? Great symbolism, great like way to make her believe in this whole thing. And I love how after the surgery, because she briefly heard our boy talk at the end, he's like, hey, what was the other assistant's name? They're thinking, who the hell cares? Because Crescent got all the credit, on top of, obviously, you know, the professor being like, that's my student, blah, 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 and, you know, it was also my teaching. So our boy's, like, literally in the shadows getting no credit here, but, yeah. Crescent is an interesting beast because he technically sucks. He tries to take credit, he's arrogant, he's annoying, but yet they find this blend to allow him to be infuriatingly enjoyable. Like, I don't know how they did it, but they made him a legitimately great character that cracks me up, and I love how the new gimmick is he keeps calling him bro, and he's like, nah, I ain't your bro, and then he says the biggest grin. I'm like, why is this guy smiling like the Grinch who stole Christmas? Because he's like, you ain't my bro. And then they have some weird, like, jokes here. Like, Crescent was aware enough to be like, oh, you have that type of sibling relationship, and I'm like, this isn't the irregular at Magic High School, okay? We're not doing that here. She thinks so, but we ain't doing that. And good episode. Inconsistent visually, but good episode nonetheless. Your thoughts? What do you think? Do you agree with me on how we're looking at the doctor-professor dynamic, or do you think one is actually going to be A-okay? The only way one could be A-okay is if Becker turned out to be fine, which I doubt, because at this point we know Goldrun will screw anyone over to cement his place, but, you know, your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can notify when I upload more. We also have the Patreon where we got full live reactions over there exclusively, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Saynar, Parnik, Alex Jackson, Crystalline Harris, Epochtide, Silent Stormfall, No Name No Face, and we also have Keybead. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you'll have a good one.